All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 455 of the First and Frame Rate Show, and today I don't have much to talk about. Let me be honest with you, not one particular item or one particular topic I want to talk about today. So I'm gonna just go through a handful of things I've seen that's been going through the Atlanta Falcons and Georgia Southern Eagles the past few days, and just give you my thoughts and opinions on a few of those things that I see going through the internet wires. Because Georgia Southern, they're going up against James Madison. Yeah, they're going up against James Madison. Had a little blank right there. And the Falcons are going up against the San Francisco 49ers. And we're going to talk about a few things that surrounds both of those games. And we're also going to get into my thoughts and opinions on some things that are going on within both teams. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I want to thank you guys for the support. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I want to go ahead and get into this real quick. This may be a shorter episode than usual because we're in the middle of the week when it comes to, the next game. And the Falcons are trying to continue to find their way. I just did an episode of them being competitive throughout this entire season. Only, the margin of victory is like less than 6 points. The largest loss that they had was 8 points. So you basically had, one possession games all the way through. So these guys are in the thick of it every game. They're like one or two plays away of actually doing something as far as, making statements against certain teams. And the Falcons did lose Kyle Pitts in the last game, or whatever the case may be, when they played against the Buccaneers. And I'm going to go through a few things that goes along with the Falcons going forward. First and foremost, Kyle Pitts did return to practice, so it looks like he may be get the green light when it going against the 49ers, which is a good thing. And that helps that helps a lot for the Falcons. And, a lot of people have been talking about Kyle Pitts hasn't been getting a lot of touches or whatever the case may be. But he's put up pretty good numbers so far. And with him being on the field does make a difference. I'm not really sure how this is going to go because the 49ers are looking pretty good. They're looking pretty good so far this year. And even though, let me look at this real quick. Even though going up against the 49ers, I think we're playing them at home, right? Yeah, we're playing them at home. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. The Falcons have been playing pretty good, and getting somebody like Kyle Pitts back definitely works. Some other things that are going down the pipe when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons. There's also talks about Tom Brady could be fined for a apparent kick on Grady Jarrett. You got to understand, if you watch that game, if you went back and look at some of those clips, Tom Brady, it appears, I'm not saying that he did, but it appears that he has tried to kick a couple of players. I don't know if it was Grady Jarrett twice. I can't remember. But it was times when he was sacked in the game. He tried to kick somebody. Like, Brady, what are we doing? What are we doing? I mean, this is what we're doing now at the age of 40, 45. I don't know how old he is now, but this is what we're doing now when you get taken down by a player. I don't know. Speaking of being taken down by a player, Dean Pease, he said he didn't want to talk about that rough of the passer call, a good call, not only just with him, but all the other players on the team, because they could really could have got some fines or whatever the case may be. I just look at this team at the end of the day, and I'm not really sure where this team is going to go, because they've been highly competitive. You don't know if they're going to win a game or lose a game. They'll set that 2-3, really close to being 500. You just don't know. It's really interesting to see what is going on with this team and how it's going to play out. Also with the 49ers, when we talk about that game, it looks like they're going to have a couple of injuries going on. I think Nick Bosa didn't practice for the last couple of days, so don't know how that's going to play out. Javon Kinlaw, I remember Kinlaw. He used to play not too far from where I live here in South Carolina. He didn't practice either. And Arik Armstead, he's out as well. So, like I said, I don't know where this team is going to be and where it's going to go. But when you have that significant type of players out, this could be a really big deal for the 49ers. They could, they could lose this game because they don't have the pass rush. And that'll be something really significant for the Falcons, because without the proper pass rush, Mariota can have chances to do some things. Now, I know Mariota's been average to below average, but when you're losing those type of players that's possibly going to be out, it could be a really big deal for the team. All of a sudden, Mariota could throw for over 230 yards, and actually, make some things happen with his legs. And it does it could be, a big deal for them. So that's something to think about as well. At the end of the day, the Falcons have a chance to to win 3 out of the next 4 games. So that could be a really big deal for the Falcons going forward. I really feel that they can do it, even with, the lack of quarterback play. This defense, and they've been trying their best to keep this team in games, and some of the receivers and even the running game. Oh, excuse me, it's been a long morning, long day. Even with the receivers and the running backs, everybody's like they're pulling their weight and doing their part. And I talked about this earlier. It's a really big, deal, because Arthur Smith and them are not using all their salary cap. They're finding talent that works. And it could be a really significant thing if they could pull this off. You're talking about some season-ending things. Not season-ending, but season-boosting things if they can get on the roll a little bit and win, these next few games. And once again, before I'm going to jump over to the Georgia Southern Eagles, their next games, they play, the 49ers, and then they turn back around and play the Bengals. Then they play the Panthers and the Chargers. 3 out of the 4 games are home. And I think the home field advantage is not as significant where it needs to be, but it is slowly moving. I mean, the crowds are looking a lot better than they did in the past. And I don't know if that's going to bode, I don't know if it's going to be in the Falcons' favor, but if the Falcons continue to play the ball the way they do, I think they'll be fine. So we'll see how that plays out. Jumping over to Georgia Southern before we get out of here. Number 0 for this week is Marquez Watson-Trent. I mean, this kid here has been doing some really good things ever since he came back from his injury last year. It was really, unfortunate that, last year with all the injuries in the 3-9 season, Marquez Watson-Trent was one of those guys that we thought that was going to be able to emerge at the linebacker position. Now this year, he's been doing pretty well, even though, and I'm not saying this all on him, collectively, the defense has not been doing a pretty good job of tackling. It all starts with this guy here. It's going to start with this guy here, because Todd Bradley Glenn is out, for the season with his with a leg injury. I don't know the extent of the injury yet. I'm pretty sure it's been broadcast. I just haven't been looking to see what the injury was, but that's very unfortunate for Todd Bradley again. I mean, it just breaks your heart to see something like that continuously happen to him. All the things he's been through, you just want to see him go through a complete season and lead his team to a bowl victory. You want to see those type of things, but unfortunately, it didn't happen this year anyway. Marcus Watson-Trent is going to be one of these guys that's going to be stepping up and for the defense. I think he has it in him to do so. So that'll be a really good look for Georgia Southern. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better guy to do so. The odds makers have us -12 against James Madison, number 25, coming into Paulson. We are underdog once again. I think we can cover. I really do. James Madison has been looking really good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk, I talked about the pregame in an earlier episode, but they haven't been playing up to high level competition. Let's just keep it honest. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I love what they're doing. I mean, it looks good for the Sun Belt, but at the same time, you don't want a team, to beat your team. You know what I mean? So you don't want that team to beat you. So with them having a 12-point spread, I'm looking at the last 5 games once again. They played, they went 5-0, obviously. But the last 2 games, you played against Texas State and Arkansas State, you blew those guys out. I don't think they're not even close as talented as we are. And us playing at Paulson, it works fairly well. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of that. You can check my last episode out when I talked about this game, if you really want my opinion on all of that. But the -12, or the plus 12 that they're giving us, I think it works really well for us. I would not be against betting on that, because you can make some money off of that. Like, really, that's almost really good money. So I talked about what these guys needed to do in the past episode. I think that these guys just need to control the ball, hold on to the ball, do not make turnovers. I'm not saying it's that simple, because it's hard when you're playing football, no matter what. But when you have the situation where you guys, can actually control this game by going downfield and scoring over and over again. I don't get me wrong. I like James Madison. I like their game. I like how they played against Appalachian State. But I just don't think that if we're continuously scoring, I don't think they can outscore us. I just don't think so. And that's one of the things that happened with Appalachian State. They stopped scoring. They was up 28-3 and end up losing 32-28. I'm like, how in the world you give up 29 points like that? You know what I mean? It's like really weird. But hey, it happens. It is what it is. But at the same time, Georgia Southern can't do that. They can't. So I mean, the last time we played these guys, we won 24-17. That was back in 1992. And that's like really wild. I mean, I saw some other scores when they were saying that James Madison's supposed to be like 35-21 or something like that. And I'm looking like, okay, I'm not saying that they can't, because I mean, looking the way we play on defense, you know what I mean? So I just don't know. But I would like to see this team, be dominant up front and try to make some things happen, and find a way to keep the ball out of Centerio's hands, the quarterback for James Madison. Keep it out of their hands. Let the boys sit on the sideline. But I really feel that the way this team runs, up tempo, it's going to be hard to take the clock time away. So when you think about it like that, it kind of leans on the defense to get some stops. I know they're capable of getting stops. They've done it before, but I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to, because sometimes, you look at it, the bend don't break, and I've seen it too many times break. I would love to see it change and love to see it happen in a fashion where we are actually, keeping our composure and keeping our focus on winning the game. So it's something that we really need to focus on. It's not much other news is going on with Georgia Southern outside of these guys just getting ready to play. I mean, like we talked about who number 0 is going to be. We talked a little bit about the spread. We also talked about not the Falcons yet, but what the Eagles can do to make this game competitive. We also talked about the Falcons and what they can do, Kyle Pitts coming back and all the other things that they possibly can do under the umbrella of having good quarterback play. And that's just for both teams. The Falcons and Georgia Southern need to have good quarterback play to succeed. If they can do that, then we're good money. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You want to have good quarterback play. So we'll see how all that plays out. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's the middle of the week, man. I mean, what can you say? It's Thursday. We're getting closer to the football game. The football game is in 2 days. As far as James Madison, Georgia Southern, I would talk about them a little bit more extensively based on what we know once that game comes up. Also, did I say 2 days? I'm sorry. The game's tomorrow. I don't know why I say 2 days. I'm tripping. So I'll talk more about that in a pregame show prior to the game coming out. The game starts at 4 o'clock, so I'll make another video on that. And I also want to make a video on the Falcons when we're talking about the 49ers game. Do a pregame on that as well. I kind of got away from that because I was not in studio or in the game room to do so. I was out and about, so I didn't do one. But I'll get back to that because I think there's some things that needs to be talked about once we get close to the game. Like I said, this whole thing with Nick Bosa and the other defensive linemen are out. That's pretty significant. And we'll see what we can do on defense for us against James Madison. So I've said enough. I've talked my head off for this outro. You know where to find me, all the podcast avenues. I'm also on YouTube and Rumble. And check all the links down in the description if you want to check out any of the extra content or avenues where you can support. All right, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here. You guys take it easy. You guys be blessed. Enjoy your Friday. Peace.